Bria Hartley, you are a dirty, low-down dog of a player, you. You dirty player, you. You injured Sophie Cunningham. You targeted her. And we all could see it.
Oh, and Cunningham is down. My goodness.
This single image lit the internet on fire. Bria Hartley caught smirking as Sophie Cunningham was helped off the court in pain. To some, it looked like pure evil, a player smiling while her opponent suffered. To others, it was just bad timing, a split-second expression caught on camera.
Picture is going viral with Bria Hartley with the sinister grin, right? This malevolent look that's on her face right now, clearly smiling after injuring Sophie Cunningham, man.
But here's the question that has everyone talking. Was this just an unfortunate accident or the most sinister play of the season? Because the fallout didn't stop with one injury. It sparked outrage from fans, fury from Cunningham's family, and a massive debate over whether the WNBA is doing enough to protect its players. And trust me, once you see the full story, you'll understand why so many people are calling this one of the dirtiest moments in league history. And hey, don't forget to like and subscribe, or your team's star player is fouling out in the first quarter.
Indiana Fever fans wake up pissed off today. Pissed off. Not only are we getting assaulted, but they're smiling about it. This is the 6th time they've smiled, laughed, and cheered on our Indiana Fever players getting assaulted, getting injured. And it pisses me off.
The second quarter was heating up. Indiana had the momentum, Sophie Cunningham was locked in, and the energy in the arena felt electric. Then, in a single instant, everything changed. Bria Hartley drove hard to the basket. She came in fast, lowering her shoulder and forcing her way through traffic. But instead of finishing the play, her momentum carried her sideways. The next second, she slammed directly into Cunningham's right leg. The sound of the collision was enough to make fans wince. Cunningham immediately crumpled to the floor, her hands clutching her knee as if she knew something was seriously wrong. The energy in the arena shifted instantly. The noise, the cheers, the crowd, gone.
At the Engelberg, this is why I say you wonder why there's so many goddamn injuries all over the league, because you are allowing people to play rugby and football and do UFC moves in the middle of a basketball game.
A heavy silence settled over the court as everyone tried to process what had just happened. Trainers rushed in, teammates formed a circle around her, and cameras zoomed in on Sophie's face twisted in agony. Every slow-motion replay made it worse. The awkward angle, the way her knee bent, the helplessness on her face. Cunningham couldn't stand. She couldn't even test the leg. She had to be helped off the court, her arms draped over trainers as she limped toward the tunnel. Fans held their breath, because this didn't look like an injury you walk off in a few minutes. It looked serious. And while the Fever lost one of their most reliable players that night, what made this moment unforgettable wasn't just the injury, it was what happened right after. Something caught on camera that would spark one of the biggest controversies of the season. Because as Sophie Cunningham limped away, Bria Hartley was smiling. For a moment, the arena was frozen in shock. Sophie Cunningham, one of the Fever's toughest players, was being carried off the court in clear pain. Fans were stunned, teammates were shaken, and even the commentators spoke in hushed voices. But while everyone else seemed to recognize the gravity of the moment, one person stood out for the wrong reason: Bria Hartley. As the cameras panned across the floor, fans noticed something that would change the narrative entirely. Hartley was smiling, not a nervous twitch, not a split-second laugh, a visible grin captured for the world to see. That single expression ignited a firestorm. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of the smirk flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, each replay slowing down the exact frame where Hartley's lips curled into that grin. To Fever fans, it wasn't just bad optics. It was proof of intent, proof that Cunningham wasn't just injured, she was targeted. The reactions were immediate and vicious. "She's smiling while Sophie limps off," one fan wrote. Another called it the dirtiest move I've ever seen in the WNBA. Others didn't hold back at all, labeling Hartley a villain, a menace, and a player who had no place in the league. But it didn't stop there. The smirk became more than just an image. It became a symbol of disrespect, of cruelty, of something far darker than a normal basketball play. And while some tried to defend Hartley, calling it a coincidence or just adrenaline, the damage was already done. Fans had seen enough. The question wasn't whether Hartley smiled, it was why. And that why would fuel an outrage that even spilled beyond the court. Because soon, it wasn't just fans who were furious, it was Sophie Cunningham's own family. The smirk was bad enough, but the reaction it triggered made it clear this moment wasn't going away anytime soon. Fever fans were furious. Social media lit up with anger, with countless posts calling the play intentional and demanding accountability. Indiana fans, already feeling like their team had been targeted all season, saw this as the final straw. Not only are we getting assaulted, one fan raged, but they're laughing about it. The outrage didn't stay online. Sophie Cunningham's family quickly joined the conversation. Her sister, Lindsay, voiced her frustration in real time, openly calling out the referees for letting the game continue without even reviewing the play. Her mother, Paula, was even more direct, slamming both the officials and the league itself for what she called a failure to protect players. To them, it wasn't just about Sophie's injury, it was about the bigger picture. The WNBA's history of punishing players for speaking out, while seemingly doing little to hold referees or reckless players accountable. The anger wasn't just emotional, it was pointed, sharp, and aimed directly at the league office. Fans echoed those same frustrations. Why had the game continued as if nothing happened? Why hadn't Hartley been given a flagrant foul, or at the very least, the play reviewed? The silence from officials, combined with Hartley's smirk, gave the impression that Cunningham's pain didn't matter. The outrage spread far beyond Indiana. Neutral fans and even rival supporters weighed in, many agreeing that Hartley's reaction was indefensible. The collision itself might have been debated, but the grin, that felt undeniable. But as the firestorm built, the league's referees were strangely quiet. No review, no technical, no flagrant, nothing. And that silence only made fans more suspicious. Because if the referees weren't going to act in the moment, what did that say about the WNBA's standards for player safety? If there's one thing fans expected in that moment, it was a review. Sophie Cunningham had just gone down hard, clutching her knee in obvious pain, and Bria Hartley's collision was right there on the replay screens for everyone to see. But instead of blowing the whistle, instead of pausing the game, the referees simply moved on. No stoppage, no review, not even a second glance. The decision stunned everyone watching. Commentators openly questioned why the officials hadn't at least checked the play. Fans inside the arena booed, some shouting at the referees to do your job. Online, it was even harsher. People weren't just angry at Hartley anymore. They were furious at the officiating crew for ignoring what had just happened in plain sight. And it wasn't just about this one moment. For Fever fans, it felt like part of a pattern. A season filled with hard fouls, questionable calls, and now, an injury that left one of their leaders sidelined, with zero accountability on the floor. How many times do our players have to get hurt before someone steps in? One Indiana fan wrote. Even neutral voices started pointing out the double standard. The WNBA has a reputation for being quick to fine players for criticizing officials, yet here was a blatant incident with no review at all. To many, it looked like the league was more interested in protecting referees than protecting players, and that silence, that refusal to act, poured gasoline on an already raging fire. Because if the officials weren't going to hold Hartley accountable, fans were ready to do it themselves. But the anger only grew stronger when people started looking into Hartley's past, because this wasn't the first time she had been accused of crossing the line. For the Indiana Fever, Sophie Cunningham wasn't just another name on the roster. She was a leader, a fighter, a voice in the locker room who kept the team steady in a season filled with ups and downs. So when she went down clutching her knee, the impact went far beyond one game. Already stretched thin, the Fever were dealing with injuries across the board. Caitlin Clark had been sidelined, Aari McDonald was out, depth was limited, chemistry was fragile, and now one of their most reliable veterans was being helped off the court. It felt like a gut punch to the entire franchise. Cunningham's scoring, her toughness, her presence, gone in an instant. And with playoff hopes hanging by a thread, the Fever suddenly looked like a team on the brink of collapse. Fans knew it too. Social media wasn't just filled with outrage over Hartley's smirk, it was filled with dread. Season's over, one post read. Another called it a death blow to Indiana's playoff chances. And while fans processed the loss, the Fever players had to adjust in real time. Without Sophie's leadership, roles shifted, pressure mounted, and the already heavy burden on the younger players grew even heavier. This wasn't just about losing a game. It was about losing the glue that held the team together. And all of it tied back to one controversial collision, one moment that changed everything. But as the Fever scrambled to survive, the story grew even bigger. Because soon, it wasn't just fans and family calling Hartley out. The national media picked up the story, and the debate turned into something much larger. The incident was everywhere. Headlines lit up, clips replayed on national broadcasts, and analysts couldn't agree. Some framed it as a freak accident, nothing more than bad timing. Others flat out called Hartley a dirty player who had finally shown her true colors. Every show, every podcast, every sports panel had the same debate. Was Hartley misunderstood? Or had she crossed the line once and for all? Beyond Hartley, the conversation shifted to the league itself. Fans and media questioned the WNBA's commitment to player safety. Why was reckless behavior ignored? Why were referees protected while players were left vulnerable? The smirk became more than a moment. It became a symbol of a league-wide problem. And for many, it was the breaking point. When fans look back on this season, one image will stand out above the rest. Bria Hartley smirking as Sophie Cunningham limped off the court. To some, it was nothing more than a misunderstood moment. To others, it was the clearest sign yet of a player who crossed the line from competitor to villain. But no matter how you see it, the fallout has left the WNBA with tough questions. Will Hartley face consequences, or will this be another moment that slips through the cracks? And more importantly, what does this say about how the league protects its players when the stakes are highest? One thing is certain, this moment has changed how fans see Bria Hartley. Accident or not, that smirk will follow her for the rest of her career. So now I'll ask you, should Bria Hartley be suspended? And what should the WNBA do to make sure moments like this never happen again? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this debate is far from over. Smash that like button or your favorite player will miss their next free throw.